You are watching Ghost Hunter Joe and Friends. If you like this content, make sure to like and subscribe. Now here's Ghost Hunter Joe.
Thank you, Kim, and hello, viewers. I'm Ghost Hunter Joe, and today's video was recorded at the Veterans Honor Grounds located at the Mansfield Cemetery in Mansfield, Ohio. This investigation involves a murder-suicide and is very personal to me because I knew all of the individuals I'm about to discuss. My friend Sarah found this front-page newspaper article from July 2001, which reported the murder and suicide of my friends and co-workers Tammy and Ross. It's a rather lengthy article, so if the viewer wishes to read it, they may wish to pause the video now. I worked with Tammy and Ross at the Ohio State Reformatory, shown in the foreground and circled in red of this aerial photograph, until 1990, when it closed under federal court order. In 1990, we transferred to the then new Mansfield Correctional Institution, shown in the background and circled in red. As the chief union steward at OSR and the union president at Mansi, I recruited Tammy and Ross to become union stewards. This was rough duty, as Mansi was very anti-union. Tammy excelled in her role as union steward. She kept up with the training and represented her co-workers well. My wife Kim used to babysit her daughter when she and Ross attended out-of-town training with me. As was the case with almost every union representative who was worth his or her salt, we had gigantic bullseyes on our backs, and management loved writing us up and messing with our pay. I was written up over 400 times, so it was no surprise when Tammy, who had a perfect disciplinary record prior to becoming a union rep, started getting disciplined. She was assigned to the third shift, and she confided in her fellow third shift union steward, who accompanied her at her disciplinary hearings, that the reason she had been calling off was because Ross had been beating her, resulting in bruises and black eyes, which for the most part she had been hiding with makeup. She received 3-day, 5-day, and 10-day suspensions without pay. I handled her appeals. While discussing her appeals, Tammy confided in me that she had broken off a relationship she had been having with the third shift captain, who had been covering for her until the breakup. Meanwhile, upon learning that Ross had been beating her, I referred Tammy to some organizations that dealt with domestic violence, and they helped her come to the decision to separate with Ross and move out of state. When Tammy informed me that she had submitted her resignation, I specifically asked her to not tell me where she was going, so that I could honestly tell Ross, should he ask me, that I did not know where she had gone. After Tammy resigned, my union higher-ups in Columbus pressured me to withdraw her appeals. I refused. I argued that the disciplines were unjust, that she was a dues-paying member at the time the disciplines were imposed, and that she most likely would not have received any disciplines had she not been a union steward. I was able to get the 3-day suspension converted to corrective counseling with 3 days back pay, the 5-day suspension converted to an oral reprimand with 5 days back pay, and the 10-day suspension converted to a written reprimand with 10 days back pay. And since these lower level disciplines had the same effective dates as the suspensions, they were expired and expunged, effective immediately. Approximately 4 years later, Tammy contacted me. I was no longer active with the union and had since promoted to sergeant and then lieutenant. She informed me how she had moved to Kansas and that she and Ross had gotten back together and moved back to Mansfield. She asked me whatever became of her appeals because she had attended a job fair at the Richland Correctional Institution, and they informed her that they would hire her were it not for her terrible disciplinary record at Mansi. I informed her how I had successfully resolved her appeals and that she should have received a copy of the settlement as well as 18 days back pay. I instructed her to contact the ODR&C Labor Relations Office and request a copy of the settlement and inquire about the back pay. She later got back with me and informed me that they told her that they knew nothing about any settlements involving her. I then instructed her to contact the union headquarters in Columbus and ask them for a copy of the settlement. She later advised me that the union advised her that there was no such paperwork and that I was lying to her. I don't like being called a liar, and it just happened that I still had a box of old union paperwork in my garage, which for some reason I hadn't thrown away. And it also just happened that a copy of Tammy's appeal was in that box, and I made a copy for her. They had to expunge her disciplinary record, issue her 18 days back pay, and hire her as a correction officer at the Mansfield Correctional Institution. When she hired back, they assigned her to the second shift, and I was informed by my supervisors that I would have to deal with her constant call-offs as my so-called punishment for helping her get her job back. For the record, I was her supervisor, and she excelled as a correction officer, and when an opening for correctional lieutenant became available, I encouraged her to apply for it. While in Kansas, Tammy had worked at the federal penitentiary in Leavenworth with a perfect work record. She had also gone to college and received an associate degree in criminal justice. And as an honorably discharged veteran of the Air Force, along with her education and perfect work records at the Ohio State Reformatory, the Mansfield Correctional Institution both times, and the federal prison, she was a shoo-in for the position and was promoted to lieutenant, skipping the rank of sergeant. Tammy and I were lieutenants on the second shift, and we worked well together. The very last time we spoke, she confided in me that Ross had started beating her again, and that she was filing for divorce. And she also told me about another problem she was having and asked for my advice. Ross was working at the Richland County Jail and had apparently been calling off a lot, claiming it was due to their children being sick. His supervisor contacted our captain and asked if Tammy had also been calling off a lot due to their sick children. Instead of telling Ross's supervisor that he could not legally divulge such information, or the truth, that she had not been calling off, our captain chose to gossip about Tammy. He told Ross's supervisor that she was sleeping with another captain, which she denied. And Ross's supervisor told Ross what our captain told him. Tammy wanted me to help her file a complaint with Human Resources, which I told her I would do. Sadly, that was the last time Tammy and I spoke, because Ross murdered her the next day. Tammy and Ross are both buried in the Veterans Honor Grounds at the Mansfield Cemetery, but not next to each other.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe.